Salut, it's good to have you once again in this channel. We have been dealing with some interesting stuff in phonetics and you don't want to miss this one. We've looked at syllables, we looked at accentuation and disaccentuation, we have looked at continuity, we've looked at enchaînement consonantique, we've also seen enchaînement vocalique, and of course, la liaison. Now, in this particular video, we're looking at a very interesting section. Two things. We call it number one, la chute de E caduc. Au choix, au muet in French. Many students have issues with that when they are dealing with French, so we're going to look at that very, very briefly. And then we're going to come to the most important of them all, l'intonation, intonation. So, what is this E caduc? What is it all about? Let's dive into it very briefly and let's see how it works. Okay, so here we go. So we have, as you can see on your screen, E caduc, la chute du E. Now, for a start, to realize this particular E phoneme is a letter E in French without any accent on it, whether accent grave, circonflexe, tréma, whatever that gives you that. Number two, this E must not be followed by a consonant, it must not be followed by another vowel, so that's how you realize this particular phoneme. Now, let's look at it. La voyelle E. Look at this boss here. La voyelle E, this particular boss here. La voyelle E correspond à la lettre E. Peut, dans certains cas, ne pas être prononcée. On parle alors du chute du E. Now, when you say la chute du E, you cannot pronounce that particular phoneme at that particular time. That's what we're dealing with right now. La chute ou le maintien du E. À ton dépend de la position du E dans la phrase et dans son environnement phonétique précis. That is, the fall of that particular phoneme, whether it's pronounced or not, depends on where it is. Take, for example, when you have the letter E at the end of a word, as you have in superbe, because this E is at the end, it's not pronounced, so it's not pronounced. Now I have it, when you have at the beginning of a word, you pronounce it. For example, recommence, this word there, recommence, the E there is pronounced, but for superbe, it's at the end of the word, is not pronounced. Now, there are also some exceptions which we are going to see right now. What are the exceptions? We see le. Remember, we said at the end of the word is not pronounced. But when we come to this monosyllabic words, it's pronounced. We have le, we have de, you have je, you have ce. These monosyllabic words, they are pronounced. And so you could have them pronounced independently, but when they're in a sentence, generally, some people tend not to pronounce them. So people tend not to pronounce them. However, it's important to note that their position, once again, is what determines if they are pronounced, if it's pronounced or not. So as we continue to explore it, you'll find, for example, je viens d'arriver. This particular statement that je viens d'arriver. Je viens d'arriver. So some people might not pronounce it. Or good fine. Ce n'est pas grave, ce n'est pas grave. They don't pronounce it. So either way, it goes in French, so it's allowed. So you want to just note that. But generally, at the end of a word, if it's not a monosyllabic word, that E is not pronounced. Now we have à l'intérieur de la phrase, on considère que le maintien ou la chute du E suivi d'une consonne, même une consonne de liaison, dépend du nombre de consonnes prononcées qui le précèdent. Now, another thing to note is that the number of consonants that precede it determines as well if it's pronounced. We have, for example, nous reviendrons le 25 janvier. Les mêmes idées. So, ils reviennent le 25 janvier. D'autres idées. So, it depends on the position that is what determines when it's pronounced. Now, as you look at these rules so far, there are some peculiar cases I want to bring to your attention. Very important. We have le haut tonique est toujours prononcé. On sait O tonique. Fais-le avec soin. Parce que it's always pronounced. Now, before H aspiré, you always pronounce that E caduc. For example, you have il so hot. Look at it there. Il so hot. Le E is always pronounced. Now, you want to take note of all this because this is how it is. So, Frère Jacques, dans des chansons, in songs as well, where it was normally left at for poetic reasons, it is Allah. For example, we have Frère Jacques, dormez-vous. So you see that and stuff like that, situation like that, it can also be pronounced. So these are the exceptional cases where the E caduc is pronounced at the end of a word. So having seen the E caduc, we are not going to waste time. I want us to go directly now to the most important thing in this video, which we are going to be dealing with for some time. Now, we are looking at what we call la phrase et l'intonation. La phrase et l'intonation. Now, what do we mean by la phrase et l'intonation? Why is this so very much important? La phrase et l'intonation. For a start, what is l'intonation? What do we mean by l'intonation? If you are speaking in French, si vous parlez en français généralement, il y a ce qu'on appelle l'élèvement et la chute de la voix, la montante et la chute de la voix. Your voice goes up and down in speech. Now that action of up and down of your voice is called intonation. Now look at it. We have what here in this box, des variations individuelles, expressives ou bien affectives se superposent et modifient les intonations de base. So human variations in speech determines intonation at times, so note that. And aussi, en français, l'intonation de base est associée au dernier son de phrase. Now, the last syllable, we already know that when we did syllable, accentuation, and disaccentuation is pronounced. So that also determines most of the time if the voice is going to rise or is going to fall. So the syllables that are accentuated also determines that. Donc, l'accentuation des syllabes détermine, à part du temps, le niveau de l'intonation dans une phrase. Donc, on distingue généralement trois intonations de base. On have encore l'intonation assertive, l'intonation interrogative, very, very important, and l'intonation exclamative ou bien impérative. Maintenant, on parle de l'intonation assertive. Cela est caractérisé par une inflexion descendante finale. That is, when you have a falling intonation, we call it inflexion descendante. Your voice goes down. Look at these two words now. Examples are that. C'est difficile. You see, in difficile here, the voice goes down. C'est difficile de s'exprimer en français. You see it again. The voice français here, it goes down. So you have l'intonation assertive, it's going down. You have encore l'intonation interrogative. L'intonation interrogative. That's an interrogative sentences. Est toujours caractérisée par une inflexion montante finale s'il n'y a pas de structure syntactique interrogative. Now, for this particular one, when you're doing l'interrogation interrogative, the voice is always going up. That's what we mean by this. We have c'est difficile, you see it there. C'est difficile, going up. But for assertive, c'est difficile, coming down. So that's the difference between the two of them. Now, you will find that as you go along in this lecture that l'intonation interrogative se réalise en général sur la fin de la partie essentielle. It's always at the final part of the most important part of the speech. How you find that interrogation there. Now, si l'interrogation est exprimée par la structure syntactique, l'intonation finale soit montante, soit descendante. So it depends on what the person wants to say. Est-ce que tu viendras? Est-ce que tu viendras? It depends. So you take note of them. Now for l'intonation exclamative ou impérative, cela est caractérisé par une courbe nettement montante ou nettement descendante. So it's also going to be either going up or down. We have Tu as fait d'accord? Taisez-vous. So that is some few things to note. So generally, si on parle de l'intonation, on parle de la montante et la descendante de la voix dans la parole, the rise and fall of the voice in speech. That is what we call intonation. And these are the key things you need to know as far as that is concerned. So this is going to be the last thing we're dealing with respect to basics of phonetics, precisely how the French oral sounds work. We've looked at basically syllables, we'll look at accentuation and disaccentuation, we'll look at continuity, liaison, enchaînement. We've also seen the caduc, the fall of it, and of course, we have seen intonation. In our next video, we're going to be looking at the most important sections again, that has to do with the sounds, the phonemes. And we're going to begin with the vowel sound. So till we meet in our next video, please stay put, enjoy the channel, share with your friends who are studying French as Anglophones, and of course, they will thank you for this opportunity. See you in our next video. Follow Up Community loves you, and we really appreciate you watching our videos and subscribing and learning the French. For now, we want to say bye-bye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. I will say it in German as well. Bye-bye.